long road, a record vote, the record turnout in voting on both sides. And I believe that Donald Trump is to thank for that. He really worked to push his voters to come out in support of him. And conversely, Democrats were like, oh, no, we've got to come out and turn out the vote. So we saw record numbers on both sides, democracy at work. Still, the president is unwilling to concede. As I said earlier, Maya Angelou says, when somebody shows you who they are, believe them. And he has never been a conventional candidate. He wasn't a conventional president. And he is not a conventional loser. Usually at this point, a president prepares to concede. And now he's levying lawsuits and undermining the process.
Now, this is perhaps not surprising because we have heard Trump use that kind of rhetoric in the months leading up to the election and in the last days as we've been waiting for the votes to be tallied to suggest, well, actually to launch legal action in several states where the voting is still underway, either to stop the vote counts or to challenge them on different grounds. So, Stacey, I guess the question is, with Trump refusing to concede, but the Associated Press and the networks, which usually call these elections, saying that Biden looks like the next president of the United States, doesn't this just speak to how deeply divided the United States is as a country, if in what is this normally fairly straightforward process of electing a president is something that's even come into question?
I don't know if this is a reflection of the country or a reflection of the president. The United States has been deeply divided for a while. But what's new is the tone of the person in charge, and that's the president. Usually, I mean, people become hurt and angry when they're losing an election. But usually people are able to pull themselves together and leave graciously. And he acts like he is not going to go anywhere with these lawsuits that are pending, constantly sending out surrogates like his lawyer, Rudy Giuliani, to undermine and cast aspersions on the election, accusing the Democrats of finding votes from out of the ether. This is problematic, but at the same time, we have to take a moment to acknowledge where we are. The United States has made history, the oldest president elected, and the very first woman, and she's Black, and she's South Asian, and she's representing a whole group of people who rarely get to see themselves represented.
Well, let's talk about Kamala Harris for a second, the first female vice president-elect, as you say. How significant is that really, especially after the disappointment of women after Hillary Clinton's losing bid for the presidency in 2016?
Like I said, representation matters, and there's a whole crop of women who look like me, who grew up in similar circumstances or even different, who, are told you can be whoever you want to be. But in the back of our minds, we know that there are limitations, that our value as Black women or as brown women is not worth as much as white women in the United States. At least that's the projection. And so when you see somebody who has done all the right things, who's gone to university, who has, focused on career, who has been a public servant, who is now broken this barrier, being the first woman to make it to the White House, it's special.